So Labour, gosh, I mean, even since we last met, Carolyn, the sort of artillery that's been aimed at your party is unbelievable. So, and I know this is the Telegraph, but they're saying it's going to be the biggest tax raiser in history, this budget, which is, it's not quite Halloween, it's kind of unofficial Halloween, isn't it? When we all have the wits scared out of us.
I mean, that's the downfall of being in government, isn't it? Gita will know this, that they turn the fire on you no matter what you do, and you're in the firing line.
I've never seen it like this before. I can't.
Well, we haven't had a Labour government for 14 years. And I think with social media, social media's played a big role in how we do our politics. It's encouraged a lot more people to get involved in politics, but it's become a lot more nasty.
And I agree, and I think the media, in a way, are employed by the story.
Yeah.
So it's in, let's say, our interests for there to be a row over Taylor Swift tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
But even so, Gitto, it's kind of like going on an ice rink without skates at the moment.
That's a very good way of putting it. I mean, it is relentless, I think, when you're on the inside. Interestingly, at the Conservative conference in Birmingham recently, everybody's remarked how upbeat the mood was. I think there's a lot of particularly young people who'd been in government who are now earning a lot more money for jobs that are a lot less stressful, watching their counterparts in Labour, and it gives them no pleasure, but they took a certain sense of comfort that it's not something that was uniquely wrong with them, that it's just really, really hard to be on the inside trying to get stuff done when the climate around you is very, very difficult. And you're under the kind of scrutiny that, frankly, the average CEO doesn't get in a decade at the helm.
Yeah.
And you don't get paid the kind of money that average CEOs get.
Yeah, I mean, there is an argument that if Starmer's the Prime Minister, Taylor Swift is arguably the most important person in the world right now, apart from, maybe Biden. Well, actually, probably including him. It's a state visit. Why shouldn't he be there?
Do you know what? If something had happened to her,
then exactly.
On our turf, on our watch, nobody would say, well done, those ministers, for actually penny pinching. They'd have been absolutely slammed. What were you thinking? Yeah. This woman is, more prominent than virtually anyone else at the moment. So she deserves our protection.
But it's the lack of political. Why aren't they thinking about the politics?
Well, I don't think
literally wearing a freebie on his face.
All politicians, every walk of life wants politicians to turn up at events. They want them there. They invite them there. And then when they go, they all run stories about how they're taking freebies. So, you can't win.
For example, your glasses are striking. You paid for them yourself.
Yeah, but
They weren't given to you.
But mine were 23 quid on Vooglam.
Well, you should give him advice then, rather than let Lord Ali give him money.
Well, it's not about that. It's about we expect our senior politicians to be presentable to. Maybe not all of them have been presentable.
Boris
in the
Johnson,
past.
yes.
Yeah, he was an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But we put these people on the global stage. People like me come from a very working class background. We haven't got that money that you need to spend to be on the global stage. If I was asked to go to a red carpet event, I would struggle to find an outfit to wear.
Well, maybe they need a clothing budget or something,
I think we need to be looking at that
rather than... In the Express, just going back to the budget itself, the capital B budget, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, this is the Express now, was talking about a 20 billion black hole. It's now gone up to 40 in, it seems like, a day. Well, what's going on?
You could do a brilliant auction. Any advance on 40? Do I have 45? Do I have 45? Do I have 50?
We've got another 2 weeks, so
there's
60.
Give it 2 weeks, it'll be 60.
Yeah.
What's 60 between friends?
But listen, it's all a bit strange, this, because the reality is we are £2 trillion overspent in total. The black hole they're talking about isn't the debt, it's the running deficit. It's the amount that we're spending that we're not taking in tax. And the very first duty is to close that gap. And I guess they've got to do these tax rises, Gitto.
I think they've got to balance the books one way or the other. And that is difficult. And what they're trying to do is a mix of checking whether the rules allow for a little bit more, not fiddling the figures, but adjusting them in a sort of justifiable way that doesn't lose the confidence in the market.
I've done that. Listen, I've done that on a credit card when I was a teenager. I just go, la, 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 la. You end up getting in real trouble.
And you need to be honest.
And I was out travelling when all my cards were smoked suddenly and I had nothing.
Yeah, and you need to be honest. And we need to be honest with the public and say there is a problem And yes, I mean, I'm going to say it's the fault of the Tory government. Of course I am. But they have to take some responsibility for where we are.
Well,
and the tough decisions that we're going to have to make, because we have to be fiscally responsible. The Labour Party's always been accused of being spend, with no sense of accountability.
Like train drivers and
now is the
doctors,
first time that we... But then, OK, we can say about the train drivers, but how much did it cost the country when all the trains were on stop and nobody was able to get around the country? You have to make
it's a bit
decisions.
of a cheap shot by me. I mean, in the end, we had the financial crisis under Labour, we had austerity under the Conservatives. COVID, I guess, was no one's fault. They could have dealt with it differently.
But
we've ended up where we
billion.
are. It cost a lot of money.
Yeah. And if we'd have had an honest conversation in time, all the people who were screaming, shut down the economy tighter, don't open up, you were a responsible idiot opening up. If we'd have said then, we do have to pay this money back. 400 billion means an awful lot of cuts in public expenditure or hikes in tax down the road.
Right. Well, you raise such an interesting point, Gitto, which is that we now look at this inquiry into lockdown and everything. Surely we're all starting to think we can never do that again. We can't. We're going to have to protect the most vulnerable and let the rest of us get on with it. But for some reason, we put the doctors in charge. Why would you put the doctors? This is your government, did it? You put the doctors in charge during the pandemic.
I remember thinking at the time, I wasn't there, but the moment you say we're following the science, there's two things wrong with that. Science is only one of the considerations. It's not it's a form of art, actually. That may sound like an oxymoron, but it's not as sort of, apart from mathematics, it's not as clear-cut as anything else. But also in the end, you don't follow as a politician, you lead. That's the challenge. At the moment you say, I'm going to subcontract judgment to two men, actually, who look at it through one particular lens.
They just want to stop deaths from COVID. I know.